Good.
We're on?
We're on.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. We are on YouTube Live, and I'm working on the junkyard knife, and the question I have is still, what would Schwarzer do? So, that would be cool if we knew what would Schwarzer do. So what would Schwarzer do?
I would grind the ends of those, backstack them into a four-way, and it would turn them into something cool.
All right, I like that idea.
All right, I think that'll work.
So we have our guest Steve Schwarzer today, and you know, I had a plan on these when I first started cutting them, and now I'm incredibly more confused than I ever was before.
It's easy. We'll just edge the ends of them and grind them.
I think that's the way it goes. I think that's the way it goes. It should be 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. And those sides should all be clean, but they're not. So maybe that goes this way. It's like a Rubik's Cube sometimes.
That's what happens when you get help. It confuses things.
Oh, is it that way? Well, I guess we just grind a little more.
Yeah, just grind.
I was certain I knew what I was doing, and I just don't do it. Well,
I can confuse things.
All right, we can get 2 sides going in the right direction at least. These 2 will go together. Bam, that's good. And then these 2.
You should only have to do one of them, maybe.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I just did the wrong direction. So if those 2 go together, and they're facing that way, then these 2 can go together and face this way, and then we can get that.
Round stuff in the middle. That looks pretty good.
That looks pretty cool. You see that?
That'll work.
All right. So these are flat. I'm pretty sure these flat, 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 flat. So all we need to do, Steve, is grind. Those 2 sides are flat. So we just need to grind these 2 sides flat.
All right. So no problem.
And I'll stick these together. Solving knife making is a series of solving problems. I'm not sure why there's flux up here, but if I find that the culprit, I might have to give them some lumps.
There's these pieces.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right. Cool. Got that. Got this. My handy dandy vise. I'm not sure which way would be the handiest to put it, so maybe I'll stick it down here on the end. That'd be kind of handy.
Is this the one that broke?
Yeah, bro.
That's a terrible thing to have after that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stick this one on the temporary sticker again. It'll fall off really easy right now.
It'll fall right in the middle of you welding.
Fall right on my foot. Alright, I just need a temporary vise stash here. This ain't a great one, but I want one of them bullet vices. You probably got 10 of them around your shop, don't you?
I've got a couple.
Alright. Okay.
But you can't weld my vices to the table.
Okay. Need a crimp? I'm missing something here. I got gas, I got a Alright. No ground, okay. Alright, ready?
Yep.
Then my cord.
You're supposed to look at that. Good morning.
Oh,
How'd that do?
good. It's just gonna be a temporary.
Yeah.
I hate that to blow up in my face. Now that way I don't have to fight with it. Let me pass.
Be careful, don't hit on it.
Yeah. I just, every time I'm in here doing this thing and I start having to fight with something, I know I gotta change it because that's not what I want to do. All right, we have these two pieces. Which I'm gonna put together that way. All right.
All right.
Tight. Is that tight as they go?
It's tight.
Okay. We got it way less now. We got it set on just 18 gauge so I can weld that right in the middle. Okay. Long glove on too.
Yeah.
I'll hit it again later. Okay, now I'll stick these two together.
Don't just slam on top of him.
Sort of. Yep, that's what we want. I'm gonna stick these two together and then I'll put them both together.
It didn't take long to look at that. That was pretty hot.
That was pretty hot.
Yeah. All right, ready?
All right.
There you be.
I'm stuck.
All right.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, that's not too terrible.
Do we need to turn them over?
Huh?
Stack them on the end.
I don't know. I always second guess and triple guess and guess again. Clean, clean.
Where's the other block? All right, gotta match that.
That's the inside, so I don't want to touch that. And that's the inside, so I don't want to touch that. Okay, yeah, we're right.
All right. Ready?
Go ahead.
All right. There it is.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Got wire stuck. We'll grind that.
I got the, what do you call that thing? Just curve it up. All right, thank you, sir. Better? Okay. the seam too. That was pretty
not,
good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Not like normal. All right, maybe what I want to do is I put that disc in there. I'm just going to hit both of these sides on the disc.
Okay. Yeah, let it cool down a little bit. And then wet it. I'll wet it.
Not worry about it anymore. Look at that. I was going to run over here to my disc grinder real quick. Now you did it. Okay. What do you think, old Maggie? Well, I think we're gonna have to put all the okay. I'm happy with that.
I'm gonna put my actual eyes on so I can see.
It's gonna look nice. You know what's funny? I'll hang tight, I'll get to it. What's funny is this is all garbage. Except for the nickel.
Well, it ain't garbage now.
It is.
We're making jewelry out of
I
garbage.
told them, I said, we're gonna make a $2,000 knife, and
Yeah.
that's the idea. Wait a minute, no, I did the wrong thing. Let me out of there. What I want to do is this one. Right?
You ready?
Yep.
All right. There it is.
Okay. All right,
Seal these
we got-
seams up, keep the air out of it.
Who did the pinning in the helmet? Miller. You can buy this from Miller. You can go right to the like air gas and buy it just like that. It wasn't custom done. My buddy Terry Wetzel does it. He's the master mechanic at the Indian dealership in town, but he's the only guy I know that does it. Super Chat. I can't pronounce that name. What would that be? Arnab?
Arnab.
Arnab. Does the grain structure affect sharpness? Yes, it absolutely does.
Yep.
The finer the grain structure, Arnab, the finer it is, the better it's going to be able to hold an edge, retain an edge. It's going to be tougher, stronger, everything you could imagine. So if you've got coarse grain, garbage. Garbage. Start all over again. No good. All right. We'll get to that next one. W2 holds an edge better, but good luck finding it. And I'm not going to get into the discussion of where it comes from, because ADCRV2 is what you want, because you can get that. So do that. And I'm not talking about that no more, I promise. I will not ever tell anybody where real W2 is, how to get it, and what it really is. You want to get something from Aldo? He's awesome. Get ADCRV2. That's what you want. You don't want 1095 is trash steel, and W2 hasn't been made for 30 years. I don't care where you see it for sale. It's probably not what you think it is. And I'll get in trouble for that, but I don't give a crap. I missed it.
Ain't nothing you can't fix with a front.
That's right. Now, the last side. Let's drop it in there a little deeper. There we go. Yep. All right. All right, that'll work.
You want me to drop it below there, below the well?
Yeah.
All right, how about now?
Yeah, that's better. Maybe the ends too.
Yeah, let's go ahead and plug the ends up. Let me dip it, and then we'll close them. Where's some oil? Got oil?
Hey Steve, you can go on YouTube. There's about 40 different videos on YouTube on how to make burners for forges. Or, here's the other thing. Whenever, I want to talk about this real quick. This is important. Not you, Steve. People are asking all the time, I don't know what you're pointing at. What are we laughing at? So here's the thing. You see this equipment, or you see this equipment. You know how I got that? I busted ass. I busted my ass just like he busted his ass. I cut a lot of grass when I was a kid, and I work hard. I mean, I make knives. That's what I do now. And I got this equipment because I made a lot of knives. I spent a lot of hours doing it. But before that, if I wanted something like anybody else in America, find a part-time job. People will hire you. You can rake leaves, cut grass, shovel snow, and I guarantee you in a month you'll have enough money to buy a grinder, a brand new top-of-the-line one. And then from that you can start making knives. That's the most important tool. Grinder right over there, and I know you can't see it right here. But if you want any of this stuff, if you want to dink around with it and screw around with it all the time, have fun doing that. You will learn so slowly, you will never get there. So yes, if you want to build a forge, you should build one. I built plenty of forges. There's anything wrong with it. Build a forge, there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube. Simply look on YouTube, do some research, you'll find it. When people send me messages and say, I've been looking all over, I can't find 80 CRV2 anywhere. You're not doing a search on Google. If you do a Google search, New Jersey Steel Baron will pop right up. And I know that's a bunch of subjects, but the truth is, if you want to do something, you'll do it. If you want to figure it out, you'll figure it out. There's a lot of information. There's way more information now than was when I started doing this, and it's super easy to go bust your ass some extra time ass busting to make enough extra cash to buy a brand new grinder and a little bit extra to buy a brand new hammer. So you could spend 20 years collecting garbage that you don't need to make knives with and finally get to doing it, or you could just save your dough and do it and get at it. So I don't want to hear any questions about it's too expensive. Bottles of water are expensive. That's the truth. Bottled water, Fuji water, that's expensive. I mean, I guess it's fine, but it's like one of those subjects I do get a little weird about, but I'm just like, just go bust your ass and buy the tools.
Oh, they buy the right stuff. They don't have to upgrade a half a dozen times.
Yeah. That was, oh, I missed the middle part. See? That big old crack. See, even when a fancy welder, I still can't weld.
Just squirt it full.
Yeah. All right, and this one we want a handle on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna look great.
Let
me see if I can find something that'll work.
All the round stuff, Steve, is high carbon. So if you, there's one piece I think I got 2 bars stuck together. That works good too. Yeah, all the round steel is.
What is that?
That is high carbon.
High carbon?
Yeah, it'll just look like sand on the end of it. Once we get it to weld, it'll fall off.
As long as it'll hold that bar, I don't care. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Work around it. Yep.
Okay, we got a question here. It says, how can I make a good burner for a toilet? It's easy to do. You can build it up out of pipe fittings. There's a bunch of designs on the web. Or you can get a, I like ribbon burners, and I got a friend of mine at Sergio at Black Mud Forge. He builds them cheaper than you can build them, and that's the way I would go if I was going to use a double burner forge. I don't like Venturi burners. This one over here is all forced air, and that's what I use. That's a Venturi burner. They work great for standard forging and some welding, but if you're going to weld big blocks, you need high pressure and a lot of volume.
All right, here goes, Sensei.
All right.
Is that where you want it over here?
That's basically sealed up all the way around. We 4-weighted it. We took the time to look at the pattern to make sure that it was all joined where we wanted it. There's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, but this works. I put just a little bit of WD-40 in here to scavenge any oxygen that may be left inside, and we're going to turn this into a solid bar with 4 elements. And we're headed to the fire. Now, I designed and built that furnace, and I've built probably 50 or 60 different iterations of furnaces in my 50 years of bladesmithing. And this is the latest version. I'm using some high-tech refractory I found when I was teaching in South Africa. This also has K-wool underneath that, and it has one of Black Mutt's ribbon burners in it. And to me, this is the top of the line right now.
On that. Okay. Square dies in the press. Yep. That's why you can't put anything on an anvil, and this is just a proof. Thanks, Laura. Sorry. Yeah, if you put something on an anvil, the anvil's pushing it off. It's like not coffee. That's not a hot piece of steel. Off. So that's what happens. That's okay, I didn't want that coffee anyhow.
That would have been nice. If you'd put a little more cream in it, it would have been more effective.
Yeah.
I'm firing that dog. A good shot dog can already lick this coffee.
Yeah, she's already high strung enough. That would... All right, we'll check it. Is that's
about right.
It's probably not. It's probably too much to weld in this. This might be good for.
Too big.
Too big.
That's about right.
I guess this is the one I'm using. That's smaller, isn't it? We'll weld with this and then we'll switch it out. No, we won't weld with that because that didn't fit. I ain't finished that part. I need all these that I don't have tabs for. Get them off. Some questions over here. The most challenging thing I ever created was this. Oh, him. Oh, I see. I understand. Now it makes sense. That's his side, that's my side. Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
No idea.
You notice your side is much, it requires you to do a lot more talking. That means you're the star.
Yeah.
One of the most challenging things I ever created. Probably, to be absolutely blunt about it, probably my first forge weld. I tried to forge weld and it looked like a cabbage on a stick. I just wasn't having any. I'd read the books and I tried and I tried. And I finally found an old cowboy over in Williston, Florida, a guy named Al Pendre. He passed away now. And I made arrangements to go over there to see somebody forge weld. I needed to see it. That's all I needed to do. Everybody thought I spent years over there, and actually I spent a half a day, and I didn't even get to see Alfred. I had to deal with his daddy, and his daddy's old horseshoe was sitting in a chair, and he was reading the sparks coming out of the fire on the wall. He wasn't even looking at me. He goes, "Too hot." What is he, a magician? How does he know that? And anyway, so I got my first forge welding lesson. And I came home and it opened a world to me that has led to this friendship and a bunch of them worldwide. I've taught in Europe, South Africa. I've even taught in Florida. That's a hard place to teach.
I bet.
Because everybody already knows everything down there.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, it's cool too, because I kept doing this thing and I was like, what would Steve do? What would Schwarzer do? I think it's funny, I had a question in the last one. Somebody informed me that if I used a stainless canister, then it wouldn't stick in there.
They are absolutely full of it unless the canister is prepared properly.
Yeah.
If you prepare a stainless canister properly, it won't weld to it, theoretically. Now, always throw that in because there's a chance that you see people putting all kinds of things in there. I use titanium dioxide paint. That works real good as a release.
I copied that on a video. You did.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
And then the stainless canister, I used to use burned stainless foil in there to make it release because you can almost nothing welds to it, with the exception of if you stretch it far enough, it exposes fresh material and then it wants to hold hands. And once it holds hands, it's welded. So there's limits to all of it. But yeah, you can take a stainless steel canister and oxidize the heck out of it, and more than likely it will not weld. But if you work it long enough, you can make it weld. So it's in the skill of the smith. But that'll pretty, I mean, you got to spend time on the tools. There's no simple recipe for any of this. How are we looking?
Right, it looks pretty hot. It might not be ready yet. Okay, answering a couple of questions. Now I figured out what this side means. I don't know whose name it is, but the one that says Jason are my questions. So, does it matter where you weld a work stick when working different steels? No. Weld it wherever you need to weld it to have a handle. If no sandblaster, what grit finish is good to blue? It works better with a coarser finish, so 120 or 220 maybe, but then it's a process. So you have to study, you have to work it and figure it out what works best. I used that for years. I didn't sandblast stuff and I could still make it blue, but I would do a rust bluing, and that doesn't mean go buy rust bluing. You put the material, you put the solution on the rust. There's a video, it's called Forged, it's in that. Do the same thing, just exit out the sandblast part. If you want a sandblaster, get one. What bourbon should I get for Christmas? I like Blanton's. You can get me Blanton's. I'm totally cool with that. Personally, do you prefer cookery or Bowie knife? Welding.
Master new press.
Nice. Bowie knife or cookery? I like cookeries, I like Bowies. Let's get straight. A Bowie knife could be about 100 different things. I don't know exactly what a Bowie knife looks like, and if you think you do, you're probably wrong, and I'm not being a jerk. The shape of the Bowie knife goes all the way back to the Viking knives that we call the sacks. They look just like Bowie knives, so it's a fantastical piece. You can make it however you want to. Same thing with cookeries. Cookeries go all the way back, I believe, to ancient Greece. And hey, you know what? Yeah, I was thinking maybe we don't need to take it all the way down that far. What we should do is take it down a little farther and make one wafer that becomes a belt buckle. What do you think?
Yeah, we can cut some wafer off of it.
Yeah.
I'd cut it now. Or you gonna take it a little bit?
A little further. And so I don't know. I've got a cookery. It's like this one. I kind of modified. I've got a bunch of traditional cookeries that I've been testing. They're from Nepal, and what I've noticed is that a lot of times people make a traditional knife and they forget why they're making it. And here's why I know. They're uncomfortable. They twist in my hand. They have a steel plate on the back that is generally too thin to do much of anything but twist and cut your hand. So there's a lot of things that you have to do. You redesign it to make it better. Because you see something and that's the way they made it, sometimes people forget why they make it that way. So make it your own. I think the one that cuts the best, I came up with like a more modern version of a barong. That might cut better. But if you don't have any experience cutting, you're more likely going to cut your leg off. So go out there and get some experience cutting, and don't watch TV to learn how to do it. Keep your body parts out of the way. You don't cut like this. Cut like this. Anyway, whatever. Yep. Hope I answered that question. Learn home. That's going to be nice. I think I'm going to be happy. One of those dome jump welds? Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What's the hardest form of Damascus? Any plans on going to Australia? As soon as they send me the ticket, I'm on the way to Australia. That's a guarantee. Let's see, links for a double burner forge, I don't know. Get a hold of Black Mutt Forge down in Florida. He can help you out. The hardest form of Damascus is the most controlled stuff. The stuff I do with pictures where I want to keep the image absolutely pristine. The control that's required to do that, especially patterns with straight elements in it. It's easy to make something with curves or a random pattern. It's just really hard to make one where you've got very controlled straight lines. So that's the hardest one. I don't know about these are Gilly forges. Yeah, so I think these are Gilly forges. They work pretty good for most things. But like I said, I'm building that one. That'd be easy to chop off of there hot. See, as that cools down, oxide, you can start to see the pattern in it. Pretty cool. Yeah, it's gonna be nice. I'll rip the face off of it. Choose one power hammer or press. If I could only have one. Well, I have only one, and I have one press. I only have one power hammer, and that's what I have. So those are the ones I chose, and these are the ones I have.
Just asking if you don't have one.
I'll probably have the hammer. I'd have the hammer. You can build a press pretty easy. They're not incredibly complicated. There's plans. Don't reinvent the wheel. Somebody was asking me a question this morning about how to build it and whatever. James Batson made a book. You can buy it. Just look up plans for building a hydraulic press. You can find it. It ain't super complicated. But I like having a power hammer. I like doing that. I like having a hammer because I do a lot of forging, so I like that the best. I was only going to have one, I have that. What size round bar? What size round bar for a kitchen knife? I go over this a lot, and yeah, I'm going to skip that one for now. do is try and get that pattern to bump out a little bit. Kind of cool looking.
And that's what
Oh
they
yeah,
do.
nice. That's what we got.
Yep.
Yeah, let's do. I like it enough. I want to kind of think about what's something really crazy to do with this.
What was it really like? The top piece is wood like that color.
Yeah. Oops. Cool. Yeah, it's like, so that was the knife blade, those two things. Those are the saw blades. Those round bars were, I think, bulk, 52-100 or something. All the other ones were little drill rods. So that came out kind of cool.
Yeah, it's nice. And these things are like kaleidoscopes. The more you turn them and press them,
Yeah.
you can quarter push that, turn it into something totally different.
Yeah. Let me try and answer these questions. I got it. I'll explain later, guys. I'm sorry. Okay. So the question about what size round bar. I made a series called Forged number 3. I teach you exactly how to choose the steel, and if you don't have it, you can make the steel and then forge an integral kitchen knife, integral chef's knife. Forge Series 3. Go and get that, and you will learn every detail, how to design it, how to forge it, how to heat treat, how to put a handle on it, and everything you can imagine. Even hand finishing is in that too. If you already are a maker and you think you got it, if you watch this, you'll get more. And let me see, the other one, I don't answer those questions any longer. So if you're gonna ask questions about what's the cheapest, what's the least expensive, I can't help you. I don't even know what those are. That is a reference point that I don't think we all have in common, because I think bottled water is expensive. So if you're talking about doing something on the down low or doing something on the budget, I know all about that. So do a little research. You can look up those hammers. You can see which one, get which one you want, but make sure you buy a piece of equipment, you can resell that equipment. So the most expensive one is the crappiest one you buy that you cannot resell. And that would be a hammer or a forge or a grinder. When you buy the best one that they're making, let's say it costs $10,000. I've explained this a bunch of times, but I want to make it make sense. And you have it for 2 years, and you decide, I want to sell it. I paid 10 grand for it. Sell it for $9,995, and that's how much it costs. So it costs less than $400 to buy the best hammer that you can buy. It's that simple. Same thing with the grinder, same thing with any tools. The best one you can get will cost you a couple $100s, not thousands of dollars. Take your money, put it in there. It's like a bank. It's better than the bank. Use it, enjoy it. If you want to sell it or upgrade, do it. And that's the simple answer for that. So, and yes, I'm sounding harsh because I think it's just a weird way of thinking. You're trying to justify something. We don't justify buying candy bars, cigarettes, or beer, or getting tattoos. We just go do them. I mean, I like to get tattoos. I'm just making an example. You will buy what you want. You will save your money and spend it on what you want. You have to make a decision what that's going to be. A wise decision, if you're purchasing tools, is buying the best one that you can afford and considering the resale value. And I hope that makes sense. Whoop. Like safety glasses. These are the best safety glasses I've ever bought. I've had these longer than I've ever had the other ones without scratch. These are not scratched yet. They cost like $160 or something. I'm not sure exactly, but they're made in America. They're made out of aluminum. They have some kind of nearly bulletproof lenses on them. There's no scratches on them. I would buy these things over and over again. Company's called Gators. They make great stuff. get those. If you want to buy one pair, it's the least expensive safety glasses you could buy. The most expensive ones are the $10 ones that you buy 2 or 3 times a month. Simple math. 30 bucks every month, 12 months, figure it out. Pretty simple. Buy a good pair and you'll always have them. All right, you got it.
I've got a question. Is it worth joining the ABS? Yes, if that's one of your goals to participate, absolutely I'll do it. I'm the oldest, longest, continuously serving ABS mastersmith. My papers were signed in 1981 by Bill Moran. I'm on the books in 1983. And so that's all history. But if you want to participate, I mean, they really worked hard. They were early on with the first real schools on bladesmithing. I would recommend it to anybody that wants to take a class. They've got several affiliate schools. Nick Rossi runs a really neat school up in Maine that's accredited. And so it gives you a standard. If you want to have your work judged by somebody else's standard, yeah, I'll join. And it shows that you can complete something. It's the same reason you get a college education. It shows that you can study and complete a course of study. So yeah, I'd recommend it. I've been a member since 81, so I don't see a reason not to join. There's several other organizations out there. I was vice president of the Knife Makers Guild in '94. I'm no longer affiliated because I just moved on in my life to other things to do, but they're all good organizations. Plenty of them out there. So just research it, see where you want to be, study, take classes from people that are knowledgeable. I mean, that's the reason I'm up here with Jason. We feed off each other. It just makes everything work for both of us. That's what I do. What else you got over there? I answered that one. Yeah, and that's Sergio's the only guy I know that makes them. Yeah. What's the difference between a ricasso and a bolster? A ricasso is at the end of the cutting edge and it's an integral part of the blade. Sometimes the bolster is too, but a bolster is the fat part. That's like if you had a knife blade and you ground an edge on it, you'd have a little shoulder there. That'd be your ricasso. Your little grind line will run up there like that and go to a point, and then this little area is called a ricasso. If you had a piece of steel on there that was bigger than that, this would be the bolster. If it was turned this way and slid on there, it'd be a guard, but that's a bolster. So typically you see that on like pocket knives and some knives. Now this is a little blade. This one has a little ricasso area on it, and if you put a piece of handle material or a bolster on it, another piece of steel, that would be a bolster. So I hope that answers that question. Let's see, are you going to tile the Damascus? Are we going to tile the Damascus?
Not today, we're not.
Not today.
I got to figure out how I want to finish.
He's got to figure out what we're going to do with the magic part. We're getting there. I may have to put my magic glasses back on.
Take that down into a 1-inch square. Make that into a 1-inch. We can twist it. Yeah. We do a multi-bar. W's. All right. That'd be kind of cool. So what we're gonna do is we got a piece of steel. I'll show you.
This is the end of a bar that's left over. This is that's the front half of it. I made this bar, brought it up here. Jason and I doing a co-lap with this. And here's
Never
the rest
did
of the
look
bar.
at the end. I wonder what the end looks like.
Yeah, let me grind it. Let me grind it and etch it. straight line stuff that was W's that had been pulled out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to rework it and do a multi-bar out of it. Knife that me and Steve forged out. It's a chef's knife, and so what I did was I made him a frame handle so he could slide this piece in here. So it's got a G10 frame, G10 pin, so I'm just fitting it up. It's about 1/8 of an inch, and this is a little thicker, so I'm just going to get it cleaned up and then together. I'm just going right over here. What do we got? Super chat. Oh, all right, Chris. That's good. Chris Rich, I'm glad you did. It's always fun when you get a new knife and you can just enjoy cutting up food or cutting up branches or whatever you're cutting with it. That's one of the most fun things about a knife. Very cool. So we're at 0.45 and this is at 0.34. So we got a little bit more to take off of this thing. We're up here filming your knife being built. There's proof.
I wasn't supposed to do that. It's hard. This is looking cool right now. I want to do something. That looks cool. So that is nickel powder, saw blades, drill rod, ball bearing steel, an old knife blade, and I think that's about it. Our junkyard knife steel. And I'll keep working on this. You got to keep watching, and you'll see it. Now, for those of you who have not subscribed, I am giving away another knife at 100,000 subscribers. I'm going to go get that knife. You hang tight. Now we got the ball. Giving this knife away. This is modeled after my V2 Ultra kukri. It's a little bit bigger, but I'll be giving this away. If you'd like to get one of the V2 Ultra kukris, go to tacticalelements.com. But if you subscribe, I'll be giving this away when we hit 100,000. Oh, it's over here. I'm gonna slip around you. You stay there, don't trip.
That's pretty subjective. The question is there any type of stainless steel that could perform as good as carbon steel? The answer to that is yes, under certain circumstances. I like that AEBL. It cuts almost as well as the 52100 when it's heat treated right. It's fairly easy to sharpen. I like it. Some of the powder metal technology is really good, but the problem with those real high-end powder metal stainlesses is they're almost impossible to sharpen in the field. They hold an edge incredibly tough. It's good material, very expensive material, but my primary thing is forging. I like to forge. I do hot work, and so stainless doesn't lend itself to that. You have a very finite forging range that you can do stainlesses in. It does not improve stainless to forge it, that I know of. I always had that little proviso because there's some egghead out there with a pocket full of pencils. Oh no, it can be improved if you forge it at plus or minus 1/10 of a degree at this temperature. But basically, that's the only steel that stainless I like is that AEBL. Again, Aldo, New Jersey, Seal Bearing handles it. I have some that I keep in my shop. I use it for a lot of my offshore fillet knives, but it requires a very specific heat treat. So yeah, there's one that I would use, and there's a lot of them out there that are really good. A lot of people use them, but all the stainlesses were made to have a real wide heat treat nose, so they're air hardening, and it was designed to make it easier to batch heat treat lots of material in industry. The chromium in it, which provides the stainless, happened by accident when they first did it. So yeah, there's some, it's getting better. The powder metal stuff is better, but AEBL is the only one I would really recommend.
So I got someone asked a question about why is my power hammer moving on its own? So all these tools require maintenance and tune-up, and I had a spring break in my linkage, so I hooked it up with the wrong spring. So it works perfectly still, it's just not pulling it up enough to cut the valve completely off. So because the valve is slightly open, it's like it's possessed. It's just kind of ching, ching, ching. So that's what's happening, that's why it's doing that. Why do I not use stainless for a knife that is used in food? Because if you buy a handmade knife, you should wash the knife when you're done using it. Simply hot soapy water, wash it, dry it, totally fine. Carbon steel knives are awesome, period. I do knives that have a stainless cladding, so there's stainless on the outside with a carbon core, and they're awesome also. And they require the same type of maintenance. You have to wash them when you're done and dry them off. And then you have an awesome knife. If you want a knife that you wash in the dishwasher just buy a bunch of them. When we get done using them, throw them out the door somewhere into the garbage can. You'll be way better off by doing that. And always just get you a brand new knife if that's what you want. So you just have to take care of your knife. It's really easy. They don't rust. Yeah, like Ginsu, throw them away. You can cut a tin can with it or a nail. Throw them in the garbage after you're done. I'm just not into, you know, it's super weird. I do appreciate all the questions, and I really do. It's important, but sometimes if you think about what you're told and what you believe, and then you start really looking at the truth about places, people, things, and make up your own mind about it, you'll have a better thought process, a better opinion, a better point of view. If you believe everything you're told, you're susceptible to anything. So, if somebody found this and they were on the History Channel, you know what they'd say? Aliens! I know. We found this piece of metal, Steve. It's dated to be 4,000 years old. You know what the only answer could be, right? Aliens.
Yeah.
So if you believe that, you're just silly. It's really just silly. So.
Yeah, you notice those things only land next to the hog pen in Arkansas.
Yeah. These things came. Look how good that came together.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with your welding.
You like my welding?
You're pretty good at it.
I think another 50 years I'll have it figured out.
Yeah.
If I can get it.
You've been around for 7,000 years already, so you can pull up another 50. And I'm just directly trying to answer these questions. When I hear questions like, I would like this, but I can't afford. That is such a tricky question. You got to qualify what that really means. I mean, afford means either you have zero time and you're busting your hump so hard, you're all at work all the time, then you should have extra cash. And that means if you are not doing that, then you should have time to do something to make some more so you can buy your equipment. So I always say, when I hear afford, that makes zero sense when you're applying it to something that you want to do for your art or your science or your hobby. You know, work harder, get it done. Work harder. That's all I can tell you. Work harder. Nobody cares. Work harder. I don't know what else to say. Metal we had. And you don't have my phone? Oh, there it is. Oh, I hope you don't bleed out. Have a baby yet?
Not yet.
How about yet?
I
How about
wish.
now?
I wish.
Have
My
you
wife
yet?
has been complaining the whole time. I shouldn't say that. She'll find it. She'll yell at me.
Okay, I'm ready. God dang it. Who's a good girl? Who's a good girl? You? You're badass editing too.
Oh, thank you.
I was just thinking that.
Well,
You did great with the editing.
awesome. I'm glad to hear it.
I need that forklift.
Yeah, I got one in the other hole over there. All right. Ready? Don't use flux.
Yeah. All you're doing is getting rid of the air.
So all my welds, before I put everything together, the surfaces are clean and there's nowhere for air to get in. So I don't need flux. High carbon steels weld at lower temperatures also. So if I was blacksmithing, I might use a little flux. But I have some flux that I made, and it is basically cast steel, or like a cast iron pan. Not really cast iron, it's cast steel. It's got a very high carbon content. So I got some of that ground up into a powder that I'll mix with a little bit of anhydrous borax if I'm doing a low carbon steel forge weld, because it just makes it go easier. But when I'm forge welding high carbon steels to make Damascus, I don't use flux. I did not use flux in my can weld. We didn't use flux in that weld. So I just don't use it. I get cleaner welds. What happens is, you forge weld and use flux, you'll see a decarb line. You have two different types of steel. I have 15 and 20 and 80 CRB2. And if you use flux, you'll see two little lines. One is F203 and one is F304. And those are lines of decarburization or something. And I don't like that because it'll be porous when you etch. I notice little microscopic little holes in that thing. And so I don't use it anymore. What I have is two bonds of two pieces of steel and nothing in between them. So that's why I don't use flux.
see the twist in it.
All right, what else we got? I'm gonna have to get closer. I can't read that. Hang tight. Okay, if I had a choice between crucible steel and pristine 1095, what would I choose? Neither one, because that's a idealistic question that really has no relevance in a real world where we have a lot of different types of steel available to us. So if you have crucible steel available to you, that means you probably made it. And if you had pristine 1095 available, well, I don't even know what that means. You probably know where to get it. So I'm gonna explain why it's not a great question. This is the real world where there's a lot of steels available to you, and they're not really expensive. So better steel. How about that? Go do that. I am not an idealist. I am not an idealist knife maker. If those two mythological steels were the only two steels available in my mythological world, of course I'd pick one or the other one. But I'm guessing you don't have that choice already. You don't have the choice for those two mythological steels, so go choose some real steels and you'll be much happier for doing it. Ask me a question, I'll answer it. And if you don't like the answer, that's too bad. It's a choice. It's a choice to ask the question and really be prepared for the answer you get. So I'll answer it, but what? Yeah, the question. I got it. Yeah.
Carbon steel for fillet knives, absolutely. I've got a friend of mine that was in Navy SEALs for 27 years. His name is Thomas H. Keith. You can look him up. He swam with a carbon steel K-bar in salt water regularly. But he cleaned it, just like he cleaned his carbon steel rifle when he got out of the water. It's a matter of maintenance. I love carbon steel because it sharpens easy and it makes a great knife. I make a lot of 52-100, which is a bearing steel fillet knife, and they will outperform anything else. But you can't take it over mullet fishing and dip it in the water and just throw it in the tackle box. That's why I made the ABL ones for the guys that were a little lazy. But yeah, carbon steel makes a wonderful fillet knife. The first knives I made were fillet knives, and they were made by cutting out great big fillet knives for mackerel fishermen offshore out of Florida, and they were using the things to, they were made out of cross-cut saw blades, and they cut like crazy. And so, I mean, yeah, that's what they use for hundreds of years. There's no reason not to continue, you just have to maintain it. He's helping out with my wonderful welding. You know, I do a double rod out of that. I do like a Merovingian pattern. Yeah, it'd be kind of cool. All right. I'll draw it into a long thin rod and put it together. Are you cold? Yeah. You poor thing. Headed to Florida.
all right.
She's going down to Florida where it's warm.
All right. What we got? Yes. Are basic forge kits for beginners available? Well, you have to be a little bit more specific of what that means. I'm not certain exactly what that means.